A Conservative MP just crossed the floor to join the Liberals, and Pierre Poilievre's response reveals everything about why his party is fracturing. This wasn't just any defection. This was a direct attack on Poilievre leadership. And what happened at today's press conference shows a leader under siege refusing to back down. Defiant just became a Liberal. The Nova Scotia Conservative MP didn't quietly leave. He publicly blamed Pierre Poilievre leadership style for his decision to cross the floor and join Prime Minister Mark Carney's government. Then Alberta MP Matt Jeneroux announced plans to resign entirely from the Conservative Party. 2 MPs gone in 1 week, and the media wanted answers about Conservative Party turmoil. Poilievre held a press conference today to attack Carney's budget, but reporters wanted to talk about his leadership crisis. The questions came fast and aggressive. Globe and Mail asked directly about caucus unity. CTV wanted to know if he'd reflected on his leadership style. CBC pressed him on claims the party runs like a frat house. These weren't softball questions. This was a media pylon targeting a leader they smell blood on. But the Pierre Poilievre response was defiant and calculated. He refused to discuss his leadership style at all. Instead, he weaponized Defiant's own previous statements against him. Poilievre quoted Defiant extensively, reading back speeches where the MP had attacked Liberal food price inflation as inhumane and unacceptable. The message was clear. Defiant was a hypocrite joining the very government he'd spent years condemning. The Conservative leadership crisis happens against the backdrop of Carney's massive budget. Poilievre's press conference was supposed to focus on fiscal policy, not internal party drama. The Conservative budget attack centered on a $78 billion deficit that Poilievre calls the costly credit card budget. That's nearly double the deficit from less than a year ago that caused the previous finance minister to resign. Poilievre went hard on the numbers. Canada's debt-to-GDP ratio is heading toward 98.5% by 2027. Nearly double the average for similarly rated countries. Credit rating agency Fitch warned this budget threatens Canada's credit rating. The Home Building Association said Carney's policies will cost 100,000 jobs. These aren't Conservative talking points. These are warnings from industry and financial experts. The Pierre Poilievre strategy is simple but risky. Ignore questions about party unity and pivot relentlessly to Carney's economic record. When asked about his leadership, he quotes Defiant attacking Liberal food inflation. When pressed about caucus fractures, he points to Liberal MP Nathan Erskine-Smith criticizing Carney's budget. The subtext is obvious. If Liberals are fighting internally, why is media only covering Conservative divisions? But here's what makes this Conservative Party crisis so significant. Defiant didn't just leave. He specifically cited Poilievre's confrontational leadership as his reason for joining the Liberals. That's not a policy disagreement. That's a fundamental rejection of how Poilievre operates. And when reporters asked if he'd change his approach, Poilievre's answer was an unequivocal no. The Pierre Poilievre leadership style is famously aggressive. He built his brand on viral takedowns, confrontational questioning, and populist rhetoric targeting elites. His supporters love it. They see a fighter willing to challenge the establishment without apology. His critics see Trump-style politics that alienates moderates and creates a toxic caucus environment. The MP defections suggest the critics might have a point. Poilievre's Conservative budget response focused on substantive policy alternatives. Cut bureaucracy, consultants, foreign aid, and corporate welfare. Eliminate the industrial carbon tax to reduce cost on steel, aluminum, cement, and concrete used in home building and manufacturing. Cap government spending with a $4 law requiring savings for new spending. Make Canada the fastest place on earth to get building permits. The Conservative economic plan includes repealing anti-energy laws, using federal powers to rapidly approve a pipeline to the Pacific, eliminating capital gains tax on money reinvested in Canada, cutting income taxes, and removing all home building taxes. These are detailed policy positions, not empty slogans. The Conservative Party platform presents a clear alternative vision to liberal economic management. But policy doesn't matter if your caucus is falling apart. 2 MPs leaving in 1 week creates narrative momentum that's hard to stop. Media coverage will focus on internal Conservative turmoil, not on deficit numbers or housing policy. That's why Poilievre's press conference strategy tried desperately to flip the script back to Liberal failures. The Canada political landscape looks increasingly chaotic. Carney promised fiscal discipline but delivered a deficit nearly double what Trudeau left behind. Food prices are rising 50% faster in Canada than the United States. Housing costs have doubled. 2 million Canadians are using food banks. These economic realities create political opportunities for opposition parties. Yet Conservative leadership questions undermine Poilievre's ability to capitalize on Liberal weakness. When your own MPs are publicly leaving and blaming your leadership, It's hard to present yourself as the alternative to a failing government. This is the fundamental tension facing the Conservative Party right now. Strong policy critiques don't translate to electoral success if voters question whether you can hold a caucus together. The Pierre Poilievre approach doubles down on confrontation. When CBC's Aaron Collins asked about the frat house comment, Poilievre immediately attacked CBC for publishing falsehoods they had to correct. When reporters pressed on caucus unity, he pivoted to reading Tremont quotes condemning liberal inflation. This isn't a leader seeking reconciliation or moderating his tone. This is a leader betting that aggression and message discipline will carry him through crisis. Expert political analysts are split on whether this strategy works. Some argue Poilievre needs to address internal party concerns and rebuild caucus cohesion. Others say any sign of weakness or introspection will be read as capitulation and embolden critics. The Conservative leadership review scheduled for January 2026 will ultimately decide which faction is right. Conservative Party members face a choice. Do they want a confrontational populist leader who energizes the base but struggles with moderate voters? Or do they want a more traditional conservative approach focused on fiscal responsibility without the bombast? The MP defections suggest at least some conservatives prefer the latter. But Poilievre isn't backing down. His closing statement at the press conference reaffirmed his commitment to fighting for affordable Canada where hard work pays off. He painted a vision of opportunity and freedom, channeling nostalgia for a time when single-income families could afford homes and middle-class life felt secure. That aspirational messaging resonates with many Canadians frustrated by economic decline. The timing of this conservative crisis matters enormously. With Carney's budget under attack from multiple angles, Poilievre had an opportunity to dominate the news cycle with economic criticism. Instead, internal party drama became the story. That represents a massive political failure, regardless of who's at fault for the defections. What happens next determines Conservative Party future. If more MPs leave or publicly criticize Poilievre leadership, the crisis deepens into existential threat. If caucus holds together and defections stop, Poilievre can credibly claim he's weathered the storm. The January 2026 leadership review looms as the ultimate referendum on his approach. For now, Pierre Poilievre remains defiant. He won't change his leadership style. He won't stop attacking Carney relentlessly. He won't acknowledge internal problems beyond dismissing them as media-manufactured drama. That's either principled conviction or dangerous stubbornness depending on your perspective. What do you think? Is Poilievre right to ignore leadership criticism and focus on liberal failures? Should he moderate his approach to rebuild caucus unity? Will more MPs leave the Conservative Party? Drop your analysis in the comments. Subscribe for comprehensive coverage of Canadian politics, Conservative Party developments, and the ongoing battle between Poilievre and Carney. Hit the notification bell for breaking news on MP defections, budget battles, and the leadership crisis reshaping Canadian conservatism. The story is far from over.